we have lots of things going on. Israel launched Operation Brother's Keeper, which was a large-scale crackdown of what it calls Hamas's terrorist infrastructure personnel, ostensibly aimed at securing the release of the kidnapped teenagers. 10 Palestinians were killed in numerous raids, and between 350 and 600 Palestinians, including nearly of all Hamas's West Bank leaders, were arrested. Among those arrested were many people who had only recently been freed under the terms of the Gilad Shalit prisoner exchange. Okay, so 3 kids are fucking kidnapped, right? And they arrest the entire fucking government of Palestine. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that happen? So let's do this with America. So let's assume we're Palestine, right? There's 3 Jewish, what if Israel blamed those fucking, kidnappings on America? They would come in and just, you know what I mean? Like, they would come into America and just arrest, the Barack Obama and Congress and the senators, right? Mitch McConnell and Rand and just all 435 representatives, 100 senators, right, or of the House of Representatives, and then 100 senators, and then the 9 Supreme Court justices, and then, or 12. Is there 9 or 12? There's 7 in Kentucky. But if they just arrested everybody, you don't think, I mean, seriously, this is the powerful versus the powerless. And they just keep fucking with them. 3 kids got kidnapped and they were fucking killed immediately, but they had to fucking, start the war machine. And here we have, I was just going to read this, and that's what I'm going to stick with. Just reading this, no commentary, right? Among those arrested were many people who had recently been freed under the terms of the Gilad Shalit prisoner exchange. Israeli military spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner defended the arrest, stating that Hamas members had carried out 60 abductions attempts on the Israelis in the West Bank in the last year and a half, and Hamas does not need to give a direct order. So he doesn't have to give a direct order, so if they have a rogue element or whatever, then it's like, well, that's okay. So June 30th, search teams found the bodies of 3 missing teenagers near Hebron. Israeli authorities appear to have known with near certainty from the onset that the 3 had been shot almost immediately after kidnapping. So they're doing all these fucking raids, arresting everybody. They already know that they're dead, but they don't care. Because Israel's a bunch of bullies. They're a bunch of assholes. They don't give a fuck. They don't care. If there's 2 people and they're in a fight, I think it's the first person that hits, okay? I think people can be shitty and say whatever it is that they want to say, and it's annoying and it sucks or whatever, but we live in a free country, and in public squares, I think you have to fucking just accept it and take it or go somewhere else, go home, right? Which sucks. I mean, that doesn't seem right. Or put some fucking earphones on. But it's when the person hits the other person, that's when the crime happens. So who hits the person first? You have a right to defend yourself. You see a punch coming, right? In fact, if you see it, you can hit first. That's the only time you can be allowed to hit first, because self-defense is intelligence. Nobody can argue with someone defending themselves. So you defend yourself, and, So I don't know. I'm going to keep reading on this. Okay, so Israel authorities appear to have known with near certainty from the onset that the 3 had been shot immediately after the kidnapping. BBC reporter John Donaldson says police spokesman Mickey Rosenfield told him that the abductors were a lone cell operating affiliated with Hamas, but not operating under its leadership. Al Monitor reported the kidnappers were once Hamas-related and gone rogue. A day after the Israeli teens were buried, a Palestinian teenager was kidnapped and murdered. So you want to sit there and talk about the Israelis doing, protecting their 3 fucking teenagers that got killed the day after the Israeli teens were buried? A Palestinian teenager was kidnapped and murdered. So since the Palestinian teenager was kidnapped and murdered, Palestine just starts, airstriking Israel. They injure several of them. They go in there and they arrest Netanyahu. They arrest the entire government of Israel because, I mean, this is a teenager who's kidnapped and murdered. So anytime you have a teenagers who are kidnapped and murdered, you're allowed to declare war against the entire fucking nation, entire country. Even if you have no evidence or show no evidence of the actual government doing any, wrongdoing whatsoever. And then after they did that, right, they started it with the airstrikes and all this other shit. But, fuck, the Palestinian teenager was kidnapped. He was kidnapped and murdered. So in Palestine, they have to be, it's time to go Israel. Palestine needs to go Israel on Israel. That's what the fuck Palestine's got to do. And Palestine's got to go Israel on Israel. And they got to be just like them. So, right, they had, they kidnapped the Palestinian kid and then they murdered him. And so what we're going to do with this is Mohammed Abu Qadir, right? So you have Mohammed Abu Qadir, who was kidnapped and then murdered on the morning of July 2nd, 2014, a day after the burial of the 3 Israeli teens. Qadir, a 16-year-old Palestinian, was forced into a car on an East Jerusalem street. His family immediately reported the fact to Israeli police, who located his charred body a few hours later at Givat Shaul in the Jerusalem forest. Preliminary results from the autopsy suggested he was beaten and burnt while still alive. So they're burning him, beating him, kicking him, you know, killed his whole family, murdering babies, not giving a fuck, bombing the shit out of them, not giving them food, having a blockade, having walls, occupation, whole fucking world's against them, and, you know, this shit happened. So the Palestinians have a right to be just like Israel. So not only do they have a right to start immediate airstrikes, right? That's the first time you have a kidnapping happen, just airstrike, right? So they throw airstrikes on Israel, and then after you have airstrikes on Israel, do everything Israel did to Israel. So you have airstrikes to them, and then you arrest the entire fucking government. You have, you know, you might have to kill a couple people then. When you're arresting the government, you might have to kill 10 Palestinians were in the initial arrest were killed, right? So you got to go in and invade Israel, and you got to go into the government, and you got to arrest every one of them, you know, whoever is responsible for this kid's kidnapping. And it doesn't have to be a direct order from the government. It could just be a rogue element that they allow, and they say that's okay. So, you know, you have to arrest all the government just to make sure, so you can catch that rogue element, kill several of them in the process, at least 10 of them. You've already done airstrikes. Let's see, we've done the 600 thing, the picking up thing. They had, let's see, airstrikes, the phosphorus, they had more airstrikes than the phosphorus bombs, right? So, and then they had a ground invasion, okay? So then after you arrested everybody and you know, got all the people that you wanted to get, then, you know, Israel isn't going to be happy with any of the shit that you just did, so they're going to do something, of course, right? You attack Israel, they'll fucking attack back, and as soon as they attack back, they'll send some rockets your way. As soon as they send rockets, just annihilate them. You fucking put boots on the ground, you fucking bomb this building, you bomb that building. It doesn't matter if you're 9 nations or not. You bomb the fucking hospitals, you bomb the fucking, you know, you bomb all of it. You bomb the hospitals, you bomb the fucking schools, you bomb any fucking thing, anybody that gets in your way, because Israel fucking kidnapped. Israel government, Netanyahu, I'll blame Netanyahu specifically, fucking kidnapped Mohammed Abu Qadir, okay? So let's put a fucking face on the victims of Palestine. Mohammed Abu Qadir, he's wearing a fucking baseball cap, looks like it's 16 years old. What the fuck could a 16-year-old have done to anybody? You know, with a fucking baseball. It just looks like a regular fucking dude. It looks like a skinny dude, actually. Might have been even picked on in his entire fucking life. They even picked on more, right? With these fucking Israelis, they not only burned him alive, but they fucking, what the fuck could he have done? You know what I mean? To be treated so fucking poorly. So if Palestine was to act like Israel, that's what Palestine would have done. Everything I said was unjust. That didn't actually happen, but it shows you how clearly it's fucking wrong. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. If Israel says it's okay for them to do it, then it should be okay for Palestine to do it. And if it's not okay for Palestine, it wasn't okay for Israel. And it's clearly not fucking right. So, you know, they had 3 fucking kids that were kidnapped. They knew that the kidnapping had happened, but they went ahead with the war anyways. Well, we already had the war started. We knew there was when we got the war started. So they went with the war on their false pretenses, on a lie. And then once they've cut the grass and they went with the real fucking reasons, whatever Netanyahu was doing, right? Cutting the grass is what I fucking think it is, but who knows, right? We can't fucking be 100% sure on this shit. June 30th, search teams found the bodies of the 3 missing teens. Israeli appears, okay, the Palestinian teenagers kidnapped and murdered. From May 1st to June 11th, 6 rockets and 3 mortar shells were launched from Gaza towards Israel. So they launched 6 rockets from, you know, in 1 month's time. On June 29th, an Israeli airstrike targeted a rocket crew, killing a Hamas operative. The next day, Hamas responded with a barrage of rockets, the first time Hamas itself had launched rockets since the conflict in 2012. From the day of the abductions on June 12th through July 5th, 117 rockets were fired from Gaza, and there are approximately 80 Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. So there's more rockets being launched from Gaza than the airstrikes. On the night of July 6th, an Israeli airstrike on the house of a Hamas operative in Khan Yunis killed 7 people. So they're killing more people, right? They killed 7. I think there's only been like a dozen Israeli people, 2,000 Palestinians. So the numbers are, it's clear fucking genocide, right? They're just going in there, just shooting fish in a barrel. Got them all by the balls anyways. That's why they can fucking arrest the entire fucking government. They arrest Hamas is a democratically elected government, and Hamas was created to counter Fatah. So The following day, Hamas referred to the incident as a massacre against women and children and a horrendous war crime, and claimed all Israelis have now become legitimate targets, and then assumed formal responsibility for launching rocket attacks on Israel. So after they went ahead, you know, there was airstrikes. They killed 7 fucking people, and then Hamas started sending out rockets and saying, look, we officially declare war. This is fucking bullshit. It's a war crime. Massacre against women and children. You know, they only had a massacre against children, not even a massacre, 3 kids, right? And I don't want to minimize it because every death is fucking wrong, but when they exploit them to be such fucking who the fuck were these 3 kids? Did one of them have the cure for cancer? Did one of them have like blood that fucking cure cancer? You know what I mean? Like the most fucking special people ever. But these 7 people in Khan Yunis, they don't, you know, 7 Palestinians. Who gives a shit about them? They do airstrikes. Israel could do any airstrikes any fucking time they want to Palestine, and nobody says shit about it. It's fucking bullshit. That's why I like Cynthia McKinney, right? Cynthia McKinney heard about this shit going on in Gaza. She gets into a fucking boat and goes over there. She's just a congresswoman. She's just a speaker. I don't even know how she makes her money or does anything. Just a regular citizen, right? And says, fuck this shit. I'm gonna send some fucking food to Gaza. And then the Israeli soldiers jump the boat and all this other shit. So, following day, Hamas referred to the incident as a massacre of women and children. They started launching rockets, right? Hamas increased the rocket attacks on Israel. By July 7th, had fired 100 rockets from Gaza in Israeli territory. At the same time, the Israeli Air Force had bombed several sites in Gaza. Early in July 8th, IAF bombed 50 targets in the Gaza Strip. Israel's military stopped militant infiltration from the sea. Brigadier General Mati Almaz, chief spokesman for the Israeli military, said, we've been instructed by political echelon to hit Hamas hard. Hamas insisted that Israel end all attacks on Gaza, release those rearrested during the crackdown in the West Bank, lift the blockade on Gaza, and return to the ceasefire conditions of 2012 as conditions for a ceasefire. So, whew. So, as the Israeli operation began, Hamas continued to fire rockets and mortar shells into Israel, and the International Defense Forces, IDF, bombarded targets in the Gaza Strip with artillery and airstrikes in response to a ceasefire proposal announced by the Egyptian government July 14th, backed by the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The Israeli government accepted it and temporarily stopped hostilities on the morning of July 15th, but Hamas rejected it in its current form, citing the fact that Hamas not being consulted in the formation of the ceasefire and omitted many of their demands. By July 9th or 16th, the death toll within Gaza had surpassed 2,000 people, or 200 people. So this is the timeline. This is how all things are going down, right? July 16th, Hamas and the Islamic Jihad offered the Israeli government a 10-year truce with 10 conditions centered on the lifting of the blockade and release of prisoners who were released in the Gilad Shalit. July 17th, the 4-hour humanitarian ceasefire. UN. July 24th, over 10,000 Palestinians in the West Bank protested against the Israeli operation. 2 Palestinian protesters died. On July 25th, an Israeli airstrike killed Salan Abu Hassanian, leader of the Islamic Jihad's military wing. Alright, so August 1st, the United States announced Israel and Palestine had agreed to a 72-hour ceasefire. So Israel, or America's involvement, immediately we have a Senate resolution that says that we're in support of Israel and fuck Hamas and all their crimes, right? That's Mitch McConnell and the Republicans. So immediately, or that's even Harry Reid. That's all of them. That was Bernie Sanders. That was Elizabeth Warren. Pretty much the entire fucking government. They could not actually come up with any agreement after that. So the thing, we were limited in our scope. But Obama is the imperial president, the executive orders. He does do shit behind the scenes that we don't know, and that's not right. We should all know what's going on. What am I talking about here? The imperial presidency. So there's secrets. The entire government is for the bombing of fucking Hamas and the Palestinians. The people are overwhelmingly against it. American people, I would think, that know about it. But the government is totally 100% for it. And it's so fucked up how topsy-turvy shit can be like that, you know? We see the dead babies and we say, hey, that's dead babies are wrong. And then our government sees dead babies and they say, no, that's right. We need to do more of that. And, you know, so immediately after the, you know, when all this shit's going down, we send more money. We sent like $200-something million for them to build up their fucking supplies and their forces. A lot of our companies, I know Coca-Cola has been in there. They're fucking in the settlers' territory. So A lot of American companies are there. We're sending personally American government money. We're sending we're giving them money, and then we give the war contractors. So we give them the money, and then we hook them up with the arms, and then we get them to buy the arms of our friends, right? Of Halliburton. So Halliburton gets to make more fucking money. Oil companies going to make more fucking money, and what's the price? A couple dead fucking Palestinians, 2,000 dead Palestinians. That's a price they're willing to pay. Rachel Corrie dying, right? Fucking Palestinians dying, no food, blockade. They don't give a shit, right? It's a two-state solution. They won't fucking do it. Either they're gonna wipe them out or they're gonna integrate them. That's what Israel wants to do.